Nice breathe. So I'm going to start by asking you a few questions, and I really want you to take an honest reflection on them yourself, all right? So, are you here right now? All right, perfect. And also a bit confusing face. What? Can you not see me? Let me ask you again. Are you really aware that you are in this moment, in this place, with all your senses and your breath? Beautiful. All right, the next question. So those of you who've taken probably a public transportation to get here, when you were in the train or tram, how did you spend that time? Did you scroll the entire time on your phone? From the beginning until the end? Or did you actually look around and notice the people around you? Eye contact, a smile, an exchange of human acknowledgement, and the rest is saying like nothing like that. All right, cool. So here today, I'm here to explore this notion of what it means to be present and what it really means to be creative as a human in this world of constant changes and technology. So before that, let me share a little secret, perhaps a little confession. So it was about a month ago that it was announced that all of us will do a TED Talk. So I was really happy, and all my friends were as well. So the funny thing is, like, every interaction, every scene become this reminder that one day I'll be standing on this red carpet, all eyes on me, all the cameras on me, this big light on me, giving you this TED Talk. And it also becoming this reminder that it has to be a perfect talk. Everybody was expecting me to deliver this amazing talk. So what do I do in these situations? Well, my perfectionist knocked on the door, uninvited, and wrote this amazing script with beautiful English words that I wouldn't otherwise use. And I was really proud of it. So I asked my friend, Lakshai, to be the judge of it. So I sit him in this tiny little room in the university, and I delivered my speech. Then, in the end of it, he said, with no emotions, I felt nothing. This was his literal word. So he recorded it, so I watched it. And when I see it, I saw actually a person who was not me at all. It was a person who was trying so hard to stick to the script. And when I watched it, I actually say this is not a TED Talk. This is, in fact, a dead talk. So we laughed. I went home that day, a little disappointed. And I was getting ready to sleep, and I was walking, and I saw a glimpse of me in the mirror, and I heard this voice inside of me saying, Tuya, just go home. So I turned off the light, put my meditation bolster, and I meditated. And in this brief moment of silence, I realized this is exactly what happens in this modern world. We script the life according to the societal expectations, and each and every line becomes this projection of us, how we see ourselves through the eyes of others. But is it really, how do we want to be? Is it really who we are? So what I did, I opened my bag and brought out the script, and I tiered them piece by piece, threw them in the bin. So here I am today, speaking from my heart, as Felisa said. So this story of me understanding and exploring this notion of what it means to be present and what it really means to be a human started like this. So I am a nomad from Mongolia, and I was born in a Gobi Desert. Those of you who doesn't know where Gobi Desert is, you probably heard of Great Wall of China. Well, they built that to keep us away and in the Gobi Desert pretty much. So that's where I was born. So my parents are the very first generations of their nomadic tribes to be educated and settled down in a small villages. So our entire family lived in the northern steppes of Mongolia as a pure nomad. So what it really means to be a nomad, you're probably wondering what it really means to be a nomad. So there's so many things that I could tell you for hours and days, but what I really want to bring you today is 3 things. For us, life is a motion. It's about movement. It's about moving with the nature. So we move our home, our little yacht, 4 times a year with each season. So during summer, when it's 30 degrees, we live in a vast open land, so our animals can graze and drink water easier. And in winter, when it's like minus 30 to 40 degrees, we find a shelter in the bottom of the mountain, hiding from the Siberian wind, so we can all survive the winter. It's all about the edge of survival and existing. So throughout the year, our yurt, the door is always open. It's always welcome. We welcome people because we hardly see people, of course. So when we see someone, yeah, please come in, you know. And then the door is always facing to the south. And when we say, well, the door faces to the south because we can see if Chinese are coming. But in fact, it's actually because the wind comes from the north. So we have to have the door facing to the south. So our life evolves around nature. And the concept of modern time doesn't exist in our culture. So we see and measure the day and the life as a space between sun and the moon. So because we don't have electricity, let alone telephones and smart technologies, anything that we haven't been able to do in between that space can wait until tomorrow, no stress. So life is also measured by the breath. My grandpa used to say, when you breathe long and deep, you live long and fulfilled and happy life. When you breathe short and shallow, your life is intense and short. Basically, you will leave early this world. In fact, the word breath in Mongolian means amskhil. So the very root of this word, em, means to exist, to live, to be. So you can see that we were raised with this notion of embracing nature and its impermanence. So we inherit so many things for our children just so they appreciate that there is no separation between us and the nature. But I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a different type of nomad. The one who doesn't only travel the mountains, but the one who wants to travel the world. So I had a plan. I wanted to study hard, and I did. And I started learning English at the age of 12 or so. And I'll be walking around with a dictionary, mindlessly remembering the words, without even knowing how to make a sentence out of it. And my older sister was really into English as well, so she would, with her broken English, check if I'm right or wrong. So my journey into the modern world, this modern living, started when I was in the last year of my university. So I was offered an internship overseas. So one sunny morning, in summer, I stepped out the train, and I found myself in the middle of Beijing train station. So those of you who knows or who from China, now imagine this little Mongolian girl who used to ride horses and like gallop through the steppe. All of a sudden she's in Beijing, surrounded by millions of people. Everybody seems to be so rushed. I don't know where they're going. No one seems to look at each other. So I was fascinated for everything. The food, it was so spicy that it actually burnt my tongue. I couldn't feel my tongue. And the language that I was trying to learn was so hard, and it twisted my tongue in a way that actually felt pain in my jaw and my tongue. I loved it. I loved it. I embraced everything. So I immersed myself into it, learned the language, become fluent. One thing led to another. I was having a thriving career in China, in Beijing. But on a very deeper conscious level, I found myself to be split in between a contrasting self. One side of me wanted to belong in this modern world so bad. It was embracing everything. It even went out and bought a skin lightening cream because my dark, sun-kissed Mongolian skin didn't meet the definition of what beauty means in that country. But another side of me, my free spirit, natural loving self, was completely crushed. Because all of a sudden, it was waking up with the sound of traffic and the honking noises. And all of a sudden, it was squeezing itself into this train with thousands of people, but no one wanted to have an eye contact. Everybody shies away and stare at their phones. I was longing for a silence, and I was longing for the blue sky, the green grass, the open space. So I knew that if I didn't find a way to maintain myself, I won't be able to sustain not myself and in this lifestyle. So I was searching, I was reading, I was trying to find a way to, how can I stay in this modern way of living, but can bring my mountains and steppes with me? So there I come across meditation and yoga. I remember the first class I've taken in 2008. It was taught by an Indian teacher called Mohan in this ancient Chinese town inside of a Ritan park, we all awkwardly staying there, and then the first thing he said, find yourself, close your eyes, and breathe. So I did. Close my eyes. I started breathing, and I started moving my body, and I started sweating a lot. In the end of this class, I found my breath again. I found the reconnection with the nature and with my own being in that place, in the middle of Beijing, with this practice. So this became my best friend. I took it everywhere. So last 10 years was this exploration of what it means to have a mind and body connection. And I went to live in an ashram in Himalayas for a month, and I recently did a silent meditation, and crazy enough, I sit for 10 hours, 10 days, silently all by myself. So what it really did is that me as a nomadic girl, probably you as well, many of you as modern nomads, wants to live in the city, in this modern world. It's so technology-driven, but we lose ourselves in the midst of it. So this become a tool that I can bring myself as who I am every single day to every single interactions. So now the journey continued. I'm here in Australia. As they say, I'm doing my second master. I know it's very crazy. And I'm studying finance. Believe me, my mind is exhausted. And as you know, I have an exam next Tuesday. So now I started to ask this question of a graduate who's studying finance and someone who studied international relations. How, as a human beings, collectively are going to stay relevant and creative and in content in this world of technology? So if you notice the way that we live our life, the technology has completely shifted the way we experience life as a human. We started moving everything from this world possible to the virtual reality. Now we shop, we study, we walk, and we even date in the cloud. So what it does is that it eliminates the physical motion of our body. So when the body stops to move, it becomes stagnant. So in fact, it's not just one body. This, your headspace, is one entity. And this, your physical body, is another entity. So when you stop moving, these two entities doesn't operate together. So our clever brain takes over and then jumps into the driver's seat and start making all the decisions. But the fact of the matter is that the brain's very main purpose is to survive. So it's not very positive. It makes a decision based on fear and self-criticism. So just to go back to where we started, are you here right now? And how are we spending our time? So this really become the way that I see my interactions and also people around me. So have we taken the technologies into the extent that we are maybe becoming more like what we created, robots? Going through our life mindlessly, lost in the thought, living life through the tiny screen, smartphones. Perhaps even confuse what's real and what's virtual. So I'm not even saying that technology is bad. Technology is fantastic. But what I'm basically asking you this question is that maybe perhaps it's a time that we, as a human, as a living thing, cannot exist physically in this virtual reality. We need the physical motion. We need the grass. We need the air. We need the blue sky. We need the nature. And we also need another humans, this eye contact, touch, and hug, to thrive as a human being. So the funny thing is, we don't even consider this as a living thing. We just do whatever we want to do with it. We feed food that's not good for us. We constantly think about things that necessarily doesn't help us. And we just keep on going. So the power of presence is when your body and your mind meets in one place. So how do we do that? It's through our breath. So in fact, when you start learning yoga, you move your body and you bring your mind with it. But The fact they say breathe is because that's the bridge that it connects. So it is the thing, it is a really one thing that happens regardless of what in our body, every single moment, but we don't think about it. So this notion for me of going home is to bring myself into the present moment. So right before I walked in that door, I was meditating on the other side of the door. So before I go and have a date, perhaps, I'll go meditate so I can bring my best self. Before I go do a job interview, I meditate so they can see my shine. So shall we all go back home to our breath? Yeah, beautiful. So I invite you all, bring a little movement in your body, whatever movement that it feels all right, whichever you want to, whichever way you want to move. Just bring any movements. Beautiful. And find your place. Close your eyes. I'd like to invite you to bring your right hand on your heart center and your left on your belly button. Can you feel your heartbeat? Can you feel the warmth of your own body? And very slowly, can you arrive in your own body with your breath? As you inhale, can you feel your chest and your belly expand? And as you exhale, can you feel the drawing of your belly back to your spine? Let's start from our feet, the groundedness. Perhaps to the floor. This earth that supports us, no matter what. Can you feel your knees, your shin, your calf, this leg that carries around, no matter what? As you scan your body, can you stay with your breath? Can you feel your thigh, the front of your thigh and the back of your thigh? Can you feel your sitting bones rooted into that chair firmly? Can you bring your left hand on your belly as you're scanning up to your chest? Your spine tall and lengthened. Can you feel your heart? Its beating and its aliveness. Can you soften your heart as you breathe in? Can you feel your shoulders? And just notice if they're tight. Can you relax your shoulders and probably draw it down a bit as you exhale? Bringing your awareness to your neck, the extension of your spine. Can you feel your jaw? Can you relax your jaw? And your tongue? Drop it down. Are you breathing? Relaxing your cheek and your eyeballs and your eyelid and your eyebrow. Noticing the space in your forehead. And very slowly drawing a left hand up and join it on top of your right, on your heart. Let's take a deep breath in together. Take an inhale. And let it out. Slowly open your eyes. And you look to your right and acknowledge the person next to you. Probably look to each other. Sorry. Look to the other side and acknowledge the other person with the eye contact. So as you might have noticed, this is what's called being present. You probably feel something just shifts in us. It's hard to explain. So this is what I mean by going home. So before doing anything that is significant, can you please promise yourself to go home? And remind yourself that we are human beings, not a human doer. And anything that we haven't been able to do today, can wait until tomorrow. If you fail the exam, you can do it again. It's not the end of the world. Well, let's take a breath so we can not fail it. So let's dance through life, taking one deep breath at a time. Thank you for your presence.